Okay. Actually, on the 2nd December last time, we discussed about practical session 2, right? So I'll share that one also. This one, this is the practical session which we have completed, right? So up to question number 4, we have completed, right? So from today, we are going to start new practical sessions with new concepts, right? So that is practical session 3, conditional statements, right? And this practical session, actually you have how many questions? 4 questions, right? So today I'm going to discuss this one. And the first question is asking about write a C# program to accept 2 integers and check whether are they equal or not, right? So now I'm going to write the program, and if you have computers and Visual Studio, then you also can try the same program on your own way, right? So now let's start Visual Studio first. And one more thing I need to mention, so students who didn't do the assignment because of the problem of their laptop. So sometimes some students do not have laptops, right? So for those students, I can give a new idea. You can use online compilers, right? So and most of the students in here also, they have used online compilers to present their application, to develop their application. So others also can do the same thing, because you all have a mobile phone, smartphone. Then you can go to a particular online C# compiler or C++ compiler, or whatever the compiler you can use, whatever the language you need to use, you can use that language, and then you can develop a particular application. And then you all need to do that, the students who didn't complete that assignment, right? So then after actually we have only one more practical sheet, right? So now today most probably we will be able to complete 3 and 4, right? So practical session 3 and 4, or sometimes maybe the part of the practical session 4 most of the time, right? So then next week usually we can complete our practicals. So the practical session 5, the last one, and after the last practical I'll give you actually I can give you how many times, uh, I can give you 3 weeks, right? Because the last students also I gave 3 weeks, and you also I can give 3 weeks, and you should do that one and then arrange a day. Then I can get you a vivas, right? So because I should give same chance for all the students, that's why I thought about that. Because in this time actually there is no way to buy a laptop, or there is no way to come to the university and complete that practicals. No, you cannot do that one. So the easiest option is you can do by using an online tool, right? So you should do that after the last day of the practical session, right? After the last day, maybe the next week most of the time. So right, so 30th December, we complete our practicals. Then after that, I'll give you another 3 weeks to complete your application, right? So the students who didn't complete that one, then they can complete and then inform. I'll take the viva sessions, and I can allocate marks for them also, right? So that is how we can solve that problem. And then now usually I'm going to discuss the practicals, right? So this one. So you know how to open the Visual Studio, and then I'm going to develop a console application. So for that, you need to go for the File tab, and then you need to select New, then New Project. Right. So under the C#, you need to select console application and then click OK. So I need to wait a bit. Just still my application is being loading, right? So then after that I can right here I can start coding right now here. So the first thing, because you know in my question is asking about write a C# program to accept two integers and check whether are they equal or not, right? So a very simple thing. So this is this practical question is below the conditional statements, right? So if else like statements. So here, the first thing we should have two variables. So I am going to create those two variables. So those two variables should be integer variables because here we are going to compare two integer values, right? So therefore, I need two integer variables. So the first variable is int1, right? Or number one, or you can take any variable, no problem. Right, so these are the two variables I have created, and then I need to ask from the user. So just I need to ask from the user to enter first number, right? Then after that I need to assign the value which is coming from that user input to the variable which I have created, right? So here in my case for int1, right? So the first number I need to ask from the user console dot write line, and here I need to mention enter the number one or something like that, input first number, right? So according to the given practical sheet I can ask input first number, input and you need to pay more attention for this subject. And the last time also actually I don't know whether can I happy about their result or not, because most of the students I think they have written the paper, but I don't know how they have written that answers, because I need to check the answers. Still I didn't check the answers. So by looking at their faces I can imagine something, right? So that's why again I'm asking from you, you need to pay more attention to this subject, otherwise you should not be uh, able to do anything, right? So just pay attention. So int1 equal console.read line, right? And one thing here I need to convert this value, right? Because we need integer values, but the console.readline method always gives string values. So we need to convert this value to integer, right? So how we can convert that value? You need to type convert dot to int32, right? Int32, and then open bracket and close the bracket. from this place, right? So that is how you can convert that value. And then so the same thing for the second number also. Just I copy the same thing, copy and paste, right? So then I need to change the variable name, right? So others are same, and this place also I need to change second, right? Okay, first number and second number. Then here I need to check whether the first number and the second number are equal or not. So how can we do that? You can see here we need to use double equal, right? So here we need to use double equal. If and inside this condition, int1 double equal int2, right? So that is how I check. So then if those two values are similar, then I need to write first number and the second number are equal, right? So then how should I write that one? I can write it by using console.writeLine method. Console.writeLine, and inside that I need to mention here. So you always know when we are writing with variables, when we are writing something with variables, we need to mention, we need to format our string output. Here you can see two variables, int1 and int2. Then we need to allocate two slots inside our string sentence, right? Here you can see this is the 0th slot and the first slot because of these two variables, right? So otherwise we cannot combine variables and string content like this, right? So we have no way to we have no way to combine those two things, right? So I'll show you without these slots and with these slots what is the difference again to realize what happens, right? Sometimes sometimes you may have forgot these things, right? So I'll show you that one also. Inside the double quotes, I need to write 0 and first are equal. That means the 0 means the first number, and then second number, right? So second number means the first index, right? Because the indexes starts from 0, right? So here this is the 0th index and this is the first index, and these are the two variables we are going to put inside these two slots, and the slots always starts from 0, right? So 0th index, and then this is the first one. Then we need to write simply are equal, and then we need to pass those two variables, int1 then int2, right? So that is how we can write that one. Now I will show you after compiling this program. I'll erase these things and I'll show the next output, what happens if I remove these things, right? So later we can do that. Now see the program output with the rest of the parts, right? So then we need to write else part, else, and inside this else we need to write what? We need to write here, if int1 and int2 are not equal, then we need to mention that one, right? So are not equal. Here 0 and first indexes are not equal, and then after that we need to pass the same two integer values right here. So the same thing, right? Then after this else part, okay, now you can see clearly. After the else part, we need to hold our screen, because in C# usually we cannot see the output if we didn't hold our screen, right? So then we need to hold our screen. So for that we need to use console.read key. Console.read key or read line or anything, right? So I use read key. Now it's okay. Now I'm going to run the program. Okay, input first number, right? So the first number is I can say 10. Input the second number, second one also the 10. Then 10 and 10 are equal, right? So now next time I am going to enter two different values. So the first number is 12, second number is 10. 12 and 10 are not equal, right? So that is how it works. So now see here, if I remove these two slots or two placeholders, right? So first one and then the second one also. Now I have removed, right? So then now I am going to put these values just directly. I am going to put those values here, right? So what happens? Int 1 here, int 2, same thing. I just need to change the one only, right? So now I have put those values like this, int 1 and int 2. But what happens? Now again I'm going to run the program, and this time I enter the same value, 10 and 10. Now you can see int 1 and int 2 are equal, right? So just here this program didn't recognize these int 1 and int 2 as variables, because we have written all the things by using these double quotes inside the double quotes, right? So then when we are using double quotes, then all the things including variables, they also didn't recognize as variables, right? So then we need to put placeholders to input these variables to the required place, right? So that's why we use this 0th index placeholder and the first index placeholder. Then generally when we put these placeholders, we can put the variables in this order. Then the int 1 goes to this place, int 2 goes to this place, right? So it goes respectively the way we input, right? So here we can see here the int 1 and it's for 0th slot and int 2 for first slot. So that is how we can combine these string statements, that means text, and the variable content. right? So without using these placeholders, we have nowhere to combine variables and text content. We cannot use this kind of signs like plus or something like that. We have nowhere to combine these text and the variables together by using these plus signs. We have nowhere to do that. So we cannot do that, right? So that's why we use these placeholders. But this one only for this C# language, and other languages we have different options and different procedures to combine these kind of text and the variable contents, right? Sometimes some programming languages use dot for combine text and the variables. Some languages just like Java, I think they use this plus sign, right? So we can combine text content and the variable by using this plus sign, right? So it depends on the language, but here remember we need to use these placeholders, right? So that is the importance of these placeholders, right? Is it okay? Anything you need to know about this program, or anything you need to ask about the other programs or something like that? If you have any questions, you can ask. So this is how you need to write the program. And one more thing. So I'm going to completely remove this part. What happens? Next thing, right? So you need to understand this concept. So now we have no text content, just only I need to display two variables, right? So more than one variable I need to display. What happens here? I have written my variables after a comma. The first variable is here. This is the first variable. And then I have put my second variable after putting a comma here, right? So what happens here? So because of that, because of this comma, you can see red line. That means an error, right? So what happens if I remove this one? So then you can see error is here, right? So then how can I combine these two? That means I need to print only the variable values, right? So can I use this plus operator? Okay, I can use, but then I can get the addition as the answer. Then I can get the addition of these two variables as the answer, but I need only the two separate values without adding those two values together. So how can I get those two values only, right? So these things are really, really important, and you need to understand. If you can't understand, or if you have troubles, then you can ask, right? So here I'll show you a new concept. Now here I have put two placeholders, and then after that I put these two variables together with a comma. Right now it works. It should work. Now let's see. Again, I am going to enter two values, 10 and 10. Now you can see 10 and 10 as two separate values, right? So because of these two placeholders, right? So if I remove these two placeholders, what happens? I'm going to remove this one again. So now see, right? So here you can see the error, right? So if I expand the error, so then you can see this error. The best overload method match or system console.write line. So string params object has some invalid arguments, right? So this method and this statement says we have put some invalid arguments because of this comma, right? So that's why we need to use that placeholders to put multiple variables together, right? So if we need to put multiple variables, then we need to use those placeholders, right? So that is how you need to write a program. So those things are really important, and then we can move forward with other questions, right? So many things from one question. Okay. So what is the next program? So next one is asking about write a C# program to check whether a given number is positive or negative. So in general, how we can check whether a particular number is positive or negative? What is the usual way we use for that? So use your chat box and send me how you can realize whether a particular number is a negative number or positive number. What is the method you use? So here the same thing. I'm not going to completely erase all the things. So I need to take two variables to put my numbers, and here these are the statements uh, which I need to use to ask from the user to enter a particular value, right? So, and after that, I assign those two values to these respected variables, int1 and int2. Then after that, I need to check. Actually, I think I don't need two variables, just only one variable. So because here this program asks write a C# program to check whether a given number is positive or negative, right? So then I need only one number. So I remove the second one, and the second variable here also. I don't need that one. Then, so then I need to change this place. What is the logic should I write here? Tell me. So I ask from user to enter a particular value, right? So then after that, I convert that value to integer value, because you know in console.readline method always gives a string type output. So we need to convert that value to integer. So we use convert dot to int32 method to convert the value which is coming from the console.writeLine method. So then after that, I need to then I should put a condition here to check whether a particular value which is coming from that user, whether it is a positive number or negative number. I need to check that one here. Right. So how can I check that one? So in general, what is the usual way we use for that? So if a particular number is greater than or equal to 0, then that number is positive number, right? So otherwise that number is negative number. So what is the logic here? Number one, not number one, actually int1 is greater than or equal what? 0, right? Then we can write that value is positive, right? So value is positive. Otherwise, we can say value is negative. Very simple, right? So that's it. And if you need to enter the value which you have entered, with the combination of these value is positive and value is negative. So how should I write that one here? In the example given, you can see I have written that one with this placeholder because of this variable, right? So that is also okay, right? So but I'm not going to write the same program by looking at the program, and I'm not going to write the same thing here. But just I think can write the program. Most of the time both the programs are similar, right? So now I'm going to run the project. So this should not be first number, so this should be input a number, right? So it should be like that. So now I'm going to enter 10. Value is positive, right? So then again, so this time I'm going to enter minus 12. Value is negative, right? So now we can mention the value which I have entered as a combination of the text and the variable, right? So then I can say 12 is positive, or the 10 is positive, or minus 12 is negative, like that. So how should I change this program? So I need to create a placeholder to put my variable here, right? So then after that I need to put the variable. What is the variable here? Into 1. And the same thing we need to do for this place also, because we need to put 0 inside this placeholder because we have only one variable, right? So that's why I put 0 there. So now we can run the project again. So this time again I'm going to enter 10. So 10 is positive, right? So then again I'm going to enter another value. So this time minus value, minus 14 or something like that. So minus 14 is negative, so the value should remove from this place, right? Better if I can, if you remove that part. So then again minus 14 is negative, right? So that is how you write that program. So is it okay? Very simple logic. You should be able to write this kind of programs, right? So the second question also I have completed. Then third and fourth question. Before moving forward with these third and fourth questions, if you have any question, any problem or any trouble about the previous content, then you can ask anything, right? So if you have any problems, you can ask. I'm waiting for you. Okay. So the third question, write a C# program to find the largest number among the three numbers, right? So for your convenience, I have included the flowchart also, right? So you don't need to worry about this lengthy content here, right? So you can see something just like a console.writeline and backslash n. So these things for display purpose only, right? So you don't need to worry about that. So you should start from console, right? Then you can see input first number, right? So just I'm going to describe this one, right? So console.write input first number, and then we need to declare two variables, the three variables actually, because we need to take three variables to keep our three values, right? So the first value, number 1. So then we need to convert the value which is coming from the user Then the second time also asking user to enter a particular value, and that value also I put inside this number 2 variable. And then the third time also again I'm asking from user to enter a particular value, and that value I put inside this number 3 variable, right? So now we have declared 3 variables, and we have asked from user to enter particular values. Then after entering the values, we can keep those values inside those 3 variables. After that, first thing, right? First thing, number 1, we need to compare, check whether the number 1 is greater than number 2. First condition, right? So you can see this green arrow, and that means if that condition is true, that means number 1 is greater than number 2, right? So if you go this direction, the number 1 is the greatest value among these 2 values, number 1 and number 2. So the number 1 is the greatest value, and then simply we can go forward here. Then again we need to check whether the number 1 and number 3, so number 1 is greater than number 3. We need to check that condition. If that happens, if the number 1 is greater than number 3, then we can say the largest number is the first number 1, right? So the first number is the greatest number among 3 numbers. Otherwise, if that is not the case, then number 3 is the largest number, right? So now again go back. So if this condition is not true, that means number 1 is less than number 2, right? That means if number 1 is not greater than number 2, right? Because if we think that way, then we need to go for this direction, because this condition is not true, right? So if that happens, then we need to come to this place. Then we need to check, because the output of this condition, usually we can say the number 2 is the greatest number, because if this condition is not true, because number 1 is not greater than number 2, then the number 2 is the greatest number, no? So then we need to check number 2 is greater than number 3. If this condition is true, then we can say number 2 is the greatest number. Otherwise, that means if this is not the case, if number 3 is greater than number 2, right? So that means this condition is not true. Number 2 is not, actually the number 2 is not greater than number 3, right? So if that condition happens, we need to go for this condition or this direction, right? So then we can say third number is the greatest number, right? So you got idea? Got the idea, right? You can imagine. Can you understand this one? Do I need to explain this one again? Tell me if you need, I can explain again. You are responsible.
No, sir, it's fine.
Yes?
It's okay, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So here now we can see the program, right? So this is the flow chart, and after that we can move forward with the program. So here you can see when I select this bracket, you can see the end of the bracket, right? So then I need to change the indentation, otherwise you cannot understand, right? So indentation means then you can see how the program is going to run, right? there's a trouble of the indentation, right? So that's why this has been printed like this. So I need to change this one. Right, okay, this part, right? So this is one if block, and inside this if block I check the number one is greater than number two. If that happens, then I need to check number one with number three. So then number one is greater than number three, we need to say the number one is the greatest number, or the first number is the greatest number. So otherwise I need to say the third number is the greatest number, right? So that is the logic I have implemented at the previous application, right? So then again I need to go forward with else part. So here this is the else part. Else part also I can change the indentation for more clearance. So else if means I need to check, right? So if this is not the case, right? So then I need to check number one, number two with number three, right? Here, if number two is greater than number three, we need to say the second number is the greatest number among the three numbers, right? So otherwise, that means the last part of the program. So here you can see else, right? So in this else part, you can see that means if this is not the case, right? So if the largest number is the third number, then we need to say the third number is the greatest number, right? So I can get it as like this, right? So I'm going to change the indentation. Okay, now I'm going to run the project. There are errors. What are the errors? I need to check the errors. Okay, no errors. Right. First number 1, the second number is 2, the third number is 3. Right? So you can see the output is third number is the greatest number, because you can see 1, 2, 3 here. By looking at these numbers we can say that the third number is the greatest number. Right? So then we can run this program with different values 3, 2, 1. Right? So then what happens? Oh, sorry, right? So at the one line I have entered multiple values. So I need to stop and run again the program. So first value is 3, second value is 2, the last value is 1. So the first number is the greatest number among the three numbers which I have entered, right? So again, 100, then 200, 500, right? So then we can see the output. So the third number is the greatest number among these three numbers, right? So that is how you can get output. I can put this screen like this, and you can go through each and every line and try to understand. Now you need to write the program. I can hold the screen for a few minutes, right? Okay, so yeah, one more time, right? So again, you know this part, right? I'm not going to explain this part, right? So just quickly I go through these logics, right? So first thing, we need to consider number one and number two. We need to check whether the number one is greater than number two. If that happens, then we need to check number one with number three. And if this condition is true, then we need to say the first number is the greatest number. Otherwise, we need to say the third number is the greatest number, right? So then, because we have compared number one and two, then we need to compare number two with number three, this part. So if this condition is true, that means the number two is greater than number three, then we need to say number two is the greatest number, right? So otherwise, that means the third number is the greatest number. That means if this condition is not true, then we need to say the third number is the greatest number, right? So that is how you need to write the program. So this is little bit complicated program, right? So next one, I'm not going to run the program again. Next one, right? So this one. So here you can see, write a C# program to find the eligibility of the admission of professional course based on the following criteria. So the criteria is here. I'll explain one by one. So first one, eligibility criteria. So we have three subjects: physics, chemistry, and mathematics. So in order to eligible for a particular course, we need to have different type of different amount of marks with respect to these particular subjects, right? So the first one, marks for mathematics should be greater than 65, greater than or equal, right? And then marks for physics should be greater than or equal to 55, and marks for chemistry should be greater than or equal to 50, and the total in all three subjects should be greater than or equal to 180, or total in maths and physics should be greater than or equal to 140. Again, just try to understand what these conditions are. So we have three subjects: physics, chemistry, and what is the next subject? Mathematics, right? So these are the eligibility criteria. So we need to have different amount of marks in order to eligible for a particular program or particular course, right? So the first criteria says the marks for mathematics should be greater than or equal to 65, and consider this part, and right? So marks for mathematics should be greater than or equal to 65, and marks for physics should be greater than or equal to 55, and marks for chemistry should be greater than or equal to 50, and total in all three subjects should be greater than or equal to 180, or total in maths and physics should be greater than or equal to 140, right? So now here, this is the program. So I'll show you how you need to write the program. So first thing, I should have three variables. So this is the lengthy program. I copy this program and decompose all the steps and explain all the steps for you. So I copy this one. Okay, no errors, right? So these are the three variables: int p, c, and m. P for physics, C for chemistry, M for mathematics, right? So actually one line I think I have missed. What's that line? Yes, this one, console.write line, input marks for physics. So because of this line, I realized that there is a missing thing, right? So because we need to ask first from the user and then we need to convert and assign. No? Here, so you know how you get the output from user, get input from user and assign to a particular variable. I'm not going to discuss those things. So this is how you get the total, and I put it here. And here the first statement says input marks for marks obtained for physics, and then we assign that value for p variable, and then input marks obtained for chemistry, and we assign that value for c variable. And next thing, input marks obtained in mathematics, so I assign the value which is coming from the user, that is the marks which is coming from the user, to m variable. Then I have displayed here multiple things: total marks of maths, physics, and chemistry. So here I use these three variables, m plus p plus c, right? So even if you can see three variables, but I have combined those three variables by using this plus sign, right? Plus operator. So then we can say this is a single value. Therefore, I put one placeholder here. That means only one placeholder, because always the placeholders are, it starts from 0th index. But here you can see, even if you have three numbers, three variables, I have put only one placeholder because I consider these three variables as a single value because of this plus operator. I have combined the value which is coming from M, P, and C, and I get the summation of these three variables and put that value here, right? That's why you can see only one placeholder here. Then next one, next line says console.write. So the total marks for maths and physics. This time I'm going to combine M and P only. So I'm going to add mathematics marks and the physics marks only, right? So that is how you get the user input and do some calculations and display those things. You know that one. You don't need to worry about that one. No, next thing, right? So here, these are the conditions I need to check. First condition. So first condition is asking about, actually has the ending point of this scope here. You can see this is the place. So more clearance, I put it at like this, right? So then you can get an idea where's the scope of the logic and where's the ending place and everything, right? So I change the indentation and then I can discuss. So the indentation means the gap between from the last level and the level which we are in, right? So that is the indentation. So then we need to change the indentation for this part also. Okay, now you can see clearly, right? So the program. So program, you can break down it like this, right? So here I discuss up to this level. So the first condition says the marks for mathematics, right? So here you can see M here. So marks should be greater than or equal to 65. That is for mathematics, right? So then after that, that means you saw here and, right? So here, this and condition. Marks in mathematics should be greater than or equal to 65. Yes, we have that one. Right? So that is how I enter the logic. And after that, that means and. After this condition, we need to satisfy another condition. And, right? So then I need to go forward inside this if block, right? So this is the if block. Now I have checked initially whether the mathematics marks is greater than or equal to 65. If that condition is true, then we need to check other two subjects. What is the next subject? Next subject is physics. So physics marks should be greater than or equal to 55. Then again, and then I need to check chemistry marks should be greater than or equal to 50. So therefore, I have to enter inside this if condition, right? So you can see, so here, this condition is inside this if condition, right? So this if condition is inside this if condition, right? So we called this as nested if conditions. That means one inside another, one inside another. So we can go to the deepest level of this if condition structure, right? So now we are here. Now we need to check chemistry marks. So whether the chemistry marks is greater than or equal to 50. Yes, if that condition is also true, then we need to check another condition. That means again another if condition. Then I need to check whether the all three subjects mark should be equal or greater than to 180, right? O, you can see here, O. O, that means logical O. Here also you can see this is the logical O operator. This part O, this part, that is the meaning, right? So because you know we checked initially maths marks, then physics and the chemistry. After that we checked here all the subject marks, that is the, as a combination, that is the total of all the subjects should be greater than or equal to 180, or maths marks and physics marks should be greater than or equal to 140. Oh, right? So this part or this part, right? So one part should be true, right? So not both the parts, either this part or this part. So if those two conditions are satisfied, then we can say the candidate is eligible for administration admission, right? So otherwise we need to say candidate is not eligible, right? So in your LMS also the developer has done this kind of logic, right? So that's why sometimes in some subjects you are not eligible. Here, now you know how you write the eligibility requirement, how you check that requirement, and how you enter to that logic, right? So now I came here from this outer if condition. So now this is my place. I have come to this level, right? So then I'm going to describe rest of the parts. That means other, that means the else part of the conditions, right? So here you can see else condition. So if chemistry marks is not greater than or equal to 50, then we need to say candidate is not eligible, right? So you can see when I select this curly bracket, so this bracket is also selected. That means this bracket and this bracket are in the same level and the same logic, right? So if this condition is true, then we need to write something here. If this condition is not true, then we need to write something here, right? So that is how you identify the logical scope, right? So you need to click this bracket, then you can see this is the end of the logic, right? If this condition is true, then this is the place we need to write whatever the thing we need to put. If this condition is not true, then we need to write whatever the thing here, right? So then we need to write candidate is not eligible. So when I put my cursor here, you can see now I have come out from that if condition. That means the chemistry marks, right? So now I'm here. So if the physics marks is not greater than or equal to 55, right? So that means this is the condition. So if this condition is not true, then we need to write something here. Candidate is not eligible, right? So that is for physics. And then lastly, if this condition is not true, then we need to write something here. Candidate is not eligible. Again, because of the mathematics marks, right? So if this condition is not true, then you can see here. So if this condition is true, then we can proceed further. If this condition is not true, then we need to display candidate is not eligible, right? So that is how we implement the logic. So now we can test our program. But before testing, I think I should do something for you. I copy this one and I can put it here. So I'm going to remove the logic and I'll write the same logic with you, right? For more clearance. So because you know this part, right? I'm not going to write these things, you know, but the complex things I write again, right? First condition. What is the first condition I need to check? Mathematics marks, right? If M, right, greater than or equal 65, right? So then else part also I write here, but I am not going to write anything, just only the else part. So if and else, right? So if mathematics marks is greater than 65, then what we need to check? We need to check physics marks, right? So then inside this, I take the indentation and then again another if condition, right? So if and else also I put here. So without writing, actually, I think you cannot get a clear idea. So that's why again I'm writing with you, right? So the first thing I checked mathematics marks, and if that condition is true, then I have enter to this if condition. So now I am here. Enter means now I am inside that if condition, right? So if the indentation is high, that means I have gone to that loop or that logic. I have entered to that logic, right? So now if this condition is true, then another if condition is here. You can see the gap between this if condition and this if condition. That means I am inside this if condition, right? So now here I need to check physics marks. If physics marks is greater than or equal to 55, right? So then I need to check another condition, right? So I didn't write anything inside the else, right? So if physics marks is also okay, then I need to check chemistry marks. If again else, right? So the chemistry marks, so I need to C is greater than or equal to 50, I think. Yes, 50. Now see, right here. Now these are the condition structure. Now we have checked the mathematics marks we checked, and then after that, if this condition is true, that means if the mathematics mark is greater than 65, then we need to check if physics marks is also greater than 55. If that condition is also true, then we need to check if chemistry marks is also greater than or equal to 50. If that condition is also true, then we need to check another condition, right? If and else again. So this is if, again else. So this if condition contains two parts. First part is I need to check the total of maths, physics and chemistry is greater than or equal to the 180. So how should I write that one? So M plus P plus C, right? So total, so I need to insert one more bracket. So if these three values are greater than 180, right? Greater than 180, O, right? O. So logical O. So then again I need to check if the total of maths and physics are greater than or equal to 140. So again two brackets. Then I check M plus P is greater than or equal to 140, right? So here you can see we need to consider, that means the logic should be true either this part or this part, right? Not both. If MPC, that means the summation of maths, physics and chemistry is greater than 180, that student is eligible for that particular course, right? Or if the summation of physics and maths is greater than 140, that student is also eligible for that particular course, right? So we have O condition, that means either this part or this part should be satisfied, not the both. Now then we need to write here console.writeLine, console.writeLine. So inside this I need to say candidate is eligible. right? So otherwise, that means if this condition, if both the conditions are not true, that means the summation of maths, physics, chemistry is not greater than or equal to 180, and also the maths and physics marks should not also be, is not also be greater than or equal to 140, then that student is not eligible. Even if even if those students get this kind of marks, but that students cannot satisfy either this condition or this condition, then that student will not eligible for that course, right? So here I need to write is not eligible. Fine. So that is how you need to write the logic. So then you can see this else part, then simply put not eligible, again not eligible. So you can see which else part belongs to which condition. Just select this curly bracket and then you can see, so this bracket is belong to this if condition, right? So that is how you find, right? So then this place also I can put not eligible. So if you need to check what is the condition, so here you can see that is for if mathematics is greater than or equal to 65, that means that else part for this if condition, right? So then if this condition is not true, then simply we need to say that candidate is not eligible, right? So that is how you need to write the program, and then I'm going to run this program. Okay, physics. So I'll give the required marks 70. Okay, we can give so physics actually. Physics should be, what's the cutoff mark? 55. We can say 60. Chemistry cutoff is 50, then we can say 55. Then mathematics, so mathematics the cutoff is 65, then we can say 70. So the total marks of maths, physics and chemistry is 185. So the total marks of maths and physics also 130. So then the candidate is eligible, right? So here you don't need to consider both the parts, either this part or this part. That means if that candidate should have the summation of maths, physics and chemistry as 185, or the summation of maths and physics should be greater than 140, but this condition is not satisfied, right? So but no problem, because this condition has been satisfied, because the combination of maths, physics and chemistry should be 180. So this student has 185. So that's why this candidate has been eligible for this course, right? So if you consider the total marks of maths and physics, then this candidate is not eligible. But because of this operator, we consider only one part. If this part is true, then we don't need to worry about the rest of the part, right? So that is how this logic has been implemented, and that is how you got the correct answers. Okay, is it okay? Tell me anything you need to know about this program.
Yes, it's okay.
Give me a minute. I cannot hear because of the noises which is coming from the outside. So I'm going to use my Headphone. Okay, now you say, now I can hear properly. Now you speak.
Yes, sir, it's okay.
Okay, okay. So I'm going to save this one for next semester. So the next batch of students. Okay. Now we have completed, I think, the third practical, right? So those things are really important. Actually, those things are not easy as the theory content which we have discussed, right? So by going through that theory, we need to do so many complex things, right? So that is how we have implemented these complex logics. Okay. Can I move forward for next practical session? Actually, I supposed to complete only a part. So the next part we can do next day. Actually, I have only 11 participants. I don't know why, but this condition, this logics, and really these things are a little bit complex. But anyhow, you need to understand these things, right? So even if these things are complex, these things are really very base level things, right? So really easy things. Is it okay? Can I move forward with the next part? So this is about loops, right? So you can see loops and arrays as the part of the or the section of the area which we are going to cover, right? So here we need to write C# program using for loop to display 10 natural numbers, right? So then can I discuss this one, or do I need to keep this one for next day? Based on your feedback, I usually do everything, right? But we have only 11 students. I don't know. They ask others.
Actually, sir, there is a situation.
Hmm.
The last time we were at the hostel facilities, but
Yeah.
next January the university is going to reopen, but
Mhm.
most of the students don't have hostel facilities. Because of that, most of the general participants went to the Matra area for find boarding places. That's
Oh,
why.
so today is
That's why
23, right? So what's the opening day? January 1st?
next January 3, sir.
Oh, January 3. Then
Yes, sir.
you need to find the place.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Most of the general participants at the Matra area currently, right now.
Okay. So then, so because I need to teach everything for you, that means you should understand these things. I don't need to go through high speed and yes, I have done everything and I have covered all the things and then you need to write the exam. No, I don't need to do that one. So you should understand everything. So therefore, I'm not going to proceed further, right?
Okay, sir. It's better to if you can teach this lesson next week.
Yes,
I
yes,
think.
I can, no problem. And because you should go through all the theory parts, and I'll share these practical sheets, then you can ready, right? So because actually you should try before I do, but these days I am not going to conduct these practicals like that because you don't have laptops and kind of things, but you can try these things on mobile phones also. Anyway, I share these practical sheets, right? So this is session 4 and 5 also. Now I will give you, right? So distribute these things for others also, right? You try, because you can see the answers also, right? Just you need to understand, only thing you need to understand everything here.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, and now I'm going to insert these files. Can I select multiple files at once? No, one by one, right? So session 4, then 5, and today one also I'll give you, right? 3. So you need to complete 5 and 4, right? So until next day you have time. So okay, you can get that one. And one thing I need to find last time actually. So just a moment, I need to stop share, right? Okay, then so 643 is there. She's not here, right?
Yes, sir.
640.
6.
Okay, just give me a minute. Not 43. 643. 46. Okay, you have done, no problem. Because last time actually she was having a trouble when she is going to present her application. So, and after that actually I asked from the next day, that means last week also she was not there. So that's why again I asked what happens. If she is there, then it's better to speak. 643. I think she's not here. Okay. Because then I need to allocate the marks which she got from the first day. So that's why again I asked. So 2 times I checked, no, then I'm not going to check again. Okay. So next day we can continue from next day. What is the next day? Yes, 30th December. Okay, then so we can continue from next week, and we can usually conclude. I think I need to complete next day. Okay, thank you.
So there is another small request. If you
Yes.
can upload this video,
Yes,
will
yes,
be
I can
very
upload.
helpful.
Yes, okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Okay,
you very
I'll
much.
upload. Okay, okay, I'll upload.